the purpose of this session today is to run through a demo of Sitecore Personalize. I'm going to run through kind of 3 things in this demo. I just want to start by quickly orientating us in with what Sitecore Personalize is, but I'll run through that quite quickly. Then I'm going to run through a demo showing you some of the capabilities. Then what I want to do is I'm just going to talk a little bit about XM, XP, and XM Cloud and Personalize, because I'm conscious that a lot of you might already own one of these products or working with a customer that owns one of these products, and you're looking to use it with Personalize, and also just from even a comparative perspective as well, just to understand what it is that Personalize is adding to these products or on top of it or that kind of thing. So I'm going to end just with talking a little bit about that, and with the main portion of this meeting being the demo itself. So to start off with, I just wanted to quickly bring up this slide. Most of you are probably familiar with this slide, but just to show you, this is kind of Sitecore as it currently is. So we have kind of 3 clouds. We have the engagement cloud, the commerce cloud, the content cloud, and all of this is under Sitecore. And you'll notice there's also quite a few kind of new products in here, like Content Hub 1 and Sitecore Search and things like that have come in since the last symposium. And in the middle there is Sitecore Personalize, which is part of the engagement cloud. And that's what I'm going to be running through today, is that product there, Sitecore Personalize. And just to say, Sitecore Personalize, some of you might know, came over with the acquisition of BoxEver in, I think, March 2021 was when it kind of came over. And by the way, that's probably a good time for me to introduce myself. I came over with that acquisition. I'm a pre-sales engineer here at Sitecore. Okay, so on that as well, I just want to give you a high-level view of what Sitecore Personalize is before I jump into the demo for any of you that are totally new to the product. So there's kind of 3 main components to Sitecore Personalize, okay? There's experimentation, A/B testing. There's omni-channel experiences, which is basically showing personalization on multiple different channels. One of the key things about Sitecore Personalize is that you can do personalization, obviously, on the web. And by the way, any website doesn't have to have been created by Sitecore, any website at all. What we're doing is we're loading our JavaScript library, and then we can start doing personalization. Or we can do it on mobile app, server side, or we can do it in a contact center, on paid media, on an email, in an SMS, anything like that. And at the bottom here is decisioning. That's the kind of brain behind how we do personalization. So that's how we go from knowing something about the customer to actually deciding what are we going to show to that individual person. That's decisioning. And then we also have the real-time data engine. So when you have Sitecore Personalize, we are picking up real-time data that's coming into the platform, and we're picking that up via stream events. So that's why I'll start up here. So that's the first way in which we basically can get data into Sitecore Personalize. It's people doing different actions on the web in real time, and we're capturing that kind of thing. So we're capturing, for example, page views, adding to cart, searches. If they've identified themselves, we're capturing all that information in real time. What we can also do is capture kind of custom events and custom attributes. So for example, a customer has given feedback. A customer has read an article. A customer has watched 50% of the video. Whatever it is, any kind of custom event that you want to send in, we can also be capturing that as well. There's other ways we can also get data into Sitecore Personalize, and a lot of this happens via decisioning. So in decisioning, we have what we call kind of data systems, external data systems, and these can be used to pull in more information and actually use that to make a decision about what kind of personalization we're going to show to that customer. So an example of that could be things like price, inventory, risk models, or credit scores, or it could be putting data from another CRM or a database where we have customer data. The way this works is basically via a REST API. We make a connection in real time, and we use that to decide what we're going to show to that customer. So that's the first way in which we can have kind of additional data coming in. Another thing we can have connections to decision model is actually AI and ML models. So using a similar kind of REST API connection, we can also be sending data out to those models and using those to make a decision. So I'll show you an example of these 2 things as well later. And the third thing we can be pulling in, just another kind of data really, is headless content. So an example of this could be Content Hub. But as you'll see when I go through this, in general, when talking about Sitecore and our strategy about being composable, is that it doesn't have to be Content Hub. You can use any systems that you want to connect in here and pull in different headless content from other places in the business. So all that other data can be pulled in via decisioning in order to make that decision about what we're showing via personalization. For omni-channel experiences then, there's kind of 2 main types of omni-channel experiences. The first is triggered. The way this works is when we receive one of those events, one of those stream events coming in, we're then going to trigger out some type of communication. So for example, this could be very straightforward example is someone has a ban on their cart and we want to send them out an email. So you might be thinking, why would I use Sitecore Personalize for that? It's because you want to personalize that email, right? Or for example, they've signed up for a newsletter and we want to send them an email, or they've given us maybe some really bad feedback and we want to reach out to them and say, is there anything we can do to make your experience better, or whatever it is. Any event that's coming into the platform, we can then use that as a trigger. Triggers don't have to be for email. They can obviously be for SMS or push notifications as well, or anything like that. Or we could even be sending data to another system entirely. Like for example, I don't know, updating analytics or something like that. The second then main type of omnichannel experience is interactive. So rather than being kind of a push mechanism, like something happens and we push out a message, interactive is information is requested from Sitecore Personalize and we return back personalized information for that particular person. So this can be used on the web, in a mobile app, it can be used in a call center, it could even be used, say, in branch or in store, for example. So you could be sending off information about that customer and we could be sending back the next best offer, the next best conversation we want to have with that customer, the next best action for them, anything else that we want to send back based on the information we know about that person and the decisioning that we've run to work out what we should show to them. So I wanted to start us here just to orientate you around what exactly is Sitecore Personalize before I jump into the demo. But I'm going to jump into it here now and show you how some of this stuff really works in real life. I'm going to be starting off the demo here in this mobile app for this pretend retailer called Spin Shop. Okay, and just a few things I want to mention before we start. So the first thing to say is this is obviously a mobile app. There's a couple of different things we can do with mobile apps. I was mentioning that, you know, the whole purpose of this is that we can work on omni-channel. So we could be doing, there's two things that could be happening. It could be either that we're working with, say, a hybrid app or something like that, and we're loading our JavaScript library on it, or it could be doing everything server side. So it's possible to run all of Sitecore Personalized server side. We're getting all those events in server side. We're doing all our personalization server side. So we can do things like personalization on the app via that method, and we do it for many of our customers. So to start off here on my Spin Shop mobile app, I'm on the home page. And I can see here that I have a homepage banner telling me about a mega sale that's going on. Currently, I'm not known. I've never used this device on this app before, so we don't know who I am. So I'm browsing as an anonymous person. And if I scroll down, I can just see that I have my menu here about what different things are available in this app. And it's showing me men's, women's, and kids' footwear and clothing. And if I scroll down here, I can see some trending products that are, say, trending across everybody inside Spin Shop. Everybody's looking at different products and purchasing them are all shown here at the bottom. So what I can do here is I'm just going to go across to my cart and have a look at my cart. I can see it's empty and go back. I want to do that so I can show you we're capturing this data in real time against this anonymous profile. So if I go in here, for example, into this anonymous profile, I'm just going to refresh this here. What we'll see those real-time events coming in. So these are the two that I just kicked off there. I just less than a minute ago viewed my cart page, and then I went back to the home page. So it's capturing this information in real time inside Sitecore Personalize against an anonymous visitor. And we can start doing personalization just based on those events that we're capturing in real time. It doesn't have to be someone who we know who they are or anything like that. So if I go back here onto the app, we're now going to imagine that, say, a few days later, I'm on Facebook and I see an ad that's being targeted to me. And maybe it's being targeted to me, say, because I'm in a particular age demographic. I'm a female millennial. And that's the reason I'm seeing winter running essentials campaign being shown here. I then click on this campaign and I'm redirected, say, into my app. Now, what happens when I do that is based on the UTM that I've come back into the app using, we can now change, say, the homepage banner to say, we know this person has come in through the winter running essentials campaign. So we can start changing that immediately based on the fact that we know she's come in via that campaign. So we can start doing personalization there. The next thing is we'll see my entire menu has now changed based on the fact that we know that campaign was, say, just running for a particular demographic, women who are, say, millennials. So we've changed here the menu to say, here's some information I'd be interested in about, you know, women's footwear or clothing or accessories. So I can see here that the menu has changed here for me because I'm a woman. And we also have this recommendation here, ask me do I want to take a quiz, and that's going to further narrow in my recommendations based on my answers to that quiz. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And again, we can see here some trending products. So I'm going to have a look here at the women's footwear to start off with. I'm going to redirect into this page. Let's say I start browsing here at all the different shoes on offer, and I get asked, do I want to sign up and get 15% off? So I'm going to decide at this time, I'm not actually interested in signing up, so I'm going to exit this. But then, you know, once again, I'm on Facebook a few days later or whatever the platform is, browsing around, and I can see that I'm getting targeted again by Spin Shop. So I go and decide to have a look again. So I'm browsing again around through the shoes, and we know based on my previous behavior that I was previously asked to sign up and I didn't sign up. So maybe now we change the messaging to me and say, maybe this is going to encourage, my name is Sarah, but in this case, I'm taking on the persona of Jane to sign up, say, for new releases. So I'm going to click here and say, actually, I do want to know about new releases. So I am actually going to subscribe at this time. So then I subscribe and I sign in. So what happens when I do that is Spin Shop already knows Jane. So in Sitecore Personalize, we already have information about Jane. So we can actually merge her profile against existing profiles that we know about her. So if, for example, I go back into this anonymous profile and we click refresh, we'll see that this profile is going to merge against the existing profile that we already have. So this one here is retired. And if I go into this profile here for Jane, we're going to see I have a new open session that's just opened, and all that information has basically been moved over. So we have a lot more data now about what I've been doing since 3 minutes ago. We know here that I signed in. You can see I was on the main homepage. I looked at the sneakers collection. All this information is being captured about me in real time. So we've just merged that profile. Okay, so now let's imagine that I'm just going to go back onto the homepage once again here. I'm just going to refresh this. And we're going to have a look now at what impact, say, doing this quiz is going to have. And then we're going to dive in and explain to you how that's actually working. So to start off with, we can just see down here, I'm now getting some recommended trainers based on the fact that I've looked at many different kinds of shoes. And I'm still getting these trending products down here. And my menu is still the same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this quiz to basically give some information to Spin Shop about what exactly I'm looking for. So we're going to do some kind of guided selling with this particular user. So I'm going to click on here to take this quiz, and then I'm being asked questions about what exactly I'm interested in. Why am I looking for active wear in Spin Shop? So I'm, for example, going to say here that I'm interested in running, okay? And then it's going to say, okay, which of these styles best represents what you're interested in? I'm going to say this one here. And then I'm going to say, okay, which of these different colors or patterns best represents the kind of clothes you want to see? So I'm going to say this patterns here as well. So what's happening when I do that is it's capturing information about how I've answered those quiz results, and it's asked me if I want to get updated recommendations based on how I've answered that. So if I go down here now to this section, we'll see it's updated based on how I've answered that quiz. So I'm seeing here recommendations for Nike shoes. I can see here customer rating. I can see here a price I'm being told, and this is actually a personalized price that I'm seeing, and I'll explain how that's working. And then I'm seeing, say, how many different customers are looking at that individual shoe. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the quiz again to see if I get different results. So for example, I go in and take the quiz. This time I'm going to say I'm still interested in running, but I actually like this style instead, let's say. And I want to look at the muted tones version. And click on this. And again, it's asking me, I want to see updated quiz results. Yes, I do. And I'll explain as well how that's working later. And then down here, I can see once again, my quiz results are updated based on the fact that we think, you know, based on the styles I'm interested in, maybe I want Under Armour shoes instead. So I can see all of these are updated. Okay, and once again, I'm just going to take it one last time, the quiz. This time I'm going to say I'm interested in walking. I like this casual wear, and I like the neon kind of clothes. So it's going to update again. And one thing to note here is what's happening here is this part of the site, this part of the mobile app is being updated by Sitecore Personalize. And I mentioned earlier, you know, if one way this could be happening is Sitecore Personalize is just coming back with a response saying, show this image in the first slot with this information, and that's how it would work server side. Or for example, if this was on the website or it was a hybrid app or a web app, we could basically have it such that our JavaScript library is loading and we're updating this directly. That's actually what I'm doing here in this case. I'm using a web experience to update this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the kind of mechanics behind how this is actually working. So how we're actually pulling up these different quiz recommendations based on my answers. So if I go back into this session here for Jane, we're just going to have a look at these results. I want to show you that she has some quiz answers being sent in as an event. Now, a few things just to point out here. I mentioned earlier that in Sitecore Personalize, you can have custom events. Quiz answers is not a standard event, obviously, in Sitecore Personalize. It's a custom event. So that's absolutely possible. We can do all of that. You can also have any custom fields. All of these are custom fields that we're sending in. So these are just attributes that make sense in this particular event. So all of that is possible as well and being captured here. So every time I answer the quiz, we're capturing that event. Now, the way that we're deciding what's actually going to be shown to Jane is based on a decision model. And I was calling out earlier how decision models work. So I'm going to show you one of these decision models now. So I'm going to build up in complexity in terms of what we can do with decision models. So I'm just going to start with a simple example and show you, how with even a simple example, you can do something very powerful. So this is a decision model, okay? As you can see, it's a canvas and it's a drag and drop canvas, okay? So I can actually drag in, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute, drag in different nodes here at the side, and I can start building out the complexity of this decision model as well. This decision model is made up of kind of 4 different nodes here. So you can see here at the bottom, I'm pulling in session information. That's coming from that real-time data engine that I was talking about earlier. So you saw there my real-time events and session data coming into the profile right as I viewed a page or answered a quiz. Then we have a programmable. This is a piece of JavaScript that's been written to pull out my quiz answers, okay? So I can obviously write custom programmables. That's the point, that each and every different business organization is writing their own programmables to do pieces of logic that they want to use. But I can also save those as templates, okay? So you can see here, here's my programmables, and under here I have a decision template. This is a programmable I've saved to use again and again. And this is generally the way we recommend probably using everything in Sitecore Personalize, including programmables, is that you build them, you create a template, and then you can easily reuse the same logic again and again without having to do any coding. So for example, if I pull in here decision template, I'll see here some options of what I can use here to build out my decision canvas. I can see here, for example, we might have get products recently browsed. So I'm going to use that one. And then I can start using my get products recently browsed inside my decision table. And I'll explain how that works. So you can see here how it's a drag and drop kind of decision canvas. By the way, obviously it looks like this decision canvases because we want it to be human readable. We want to have someone who's seeing those changes on the site, like, a product manager or marketeer or anyone else, seeing change on the website to understand all the logic that's going into that behind the scenes. So that's why it looks like this, that it's easy to understand how a decision is being reached. Both of these inputs now are going into my decision table. So a decision table is an actual table, and the purpose of it is that it's human readable so that we can see basically and add and change rules without having to write any code, and we can define the logic there. So if I go in here and look at my table, you'll see the rules that I've set up in this case for what's being shown in my quiz recommendations. I have 3 inputs at the moment. I have my activity type, my style, and my color. So you saw me answering those different questions. And then based off of those answers, for example, if I'm interested in training, I like the muted color tone, I'm going to be recommended the brand Under Armour. So there's also 3 different outputs from this table. They are the brand I'm interested in, the product type, and the product line. So all of this is coming out of this table. One other thing to point out about this is these tables, and I'll show you how we update them in a few minutes. There are also multiple different ways we can set them up. So I could have this set up to say, only one row can be correct, i.e. can be returned. I can have it so that multiple rows are returned. I can have it so that we only take the first one, or we take, them in order. So that's what we call here the hit policy. So for example, here, I can change this to just say, just return the first rule in my table in priority order that is satisfied. I can say, return all of them, collect all the correct answers, or I can set it up as I do now, return all the ones that are applicable, all the rules that are applicable in order they're applicable in. So that's how it's working. And just to start off and show you how we can kind of change these tables, if I want to say add in another color here that's applicable in this rule, I can just turn that on like that, very straightforward. And I can obviously add new rules here at the bottom. So I'll show you a demo of that later, but basically the way it works is I might say, for example, for patterns, we're going to return all the leggings, for example. So we could have that put in here. Okay. So one more thing to show you is you saw me adding in a new kind of node there to the decision canvas. So if I wanted to add in a new input, I can just click add new input column here. I can see here my new node that I added in for get products recently browsed. I can add this one in here very easily. So I got to give this a name, recently browsed product or something like that, and add this in. So I've just added in a new input here, very straightforward. So that's how we start making changes to these tables. The output then of this, you'll see this particular table is it's going into an external data system, okay, that's putting back, in this case, product inventory for this demo. So it's going to check, okay, this person's being recommended shoes from Under Armour. Do we have those in inventory? So it's sending off a request to an external system that holds information about that. So when we set up these connections to external systems, we can have multiple different dynamic kind of inputs to them. There's a lot of flexibility in how they're set up. So I'm sending across, for example, all the brands, all the product types, and all the product lines that are applicable. And I have a lot of flexibility there in terms of how this is set up. So that's being sent across here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you another version of this, which is actually the version that I have running in production against what I just showed you in the demo there. So this is the version I've running in production, and you can see here there's just a few kind of small changes I've made. So previously we just had these nodes here. Now what I'm doing is, after I get back that result from product inventory, I'm going across to, say, Content Hub to pull back the content. Now, what I want to make clear here as well is, in this case, I'm going off to Content Hub, okay? It could be Content Hub 1, it could be XM, it could be another Sitecore product. It might not be a Sitecore product. It might be any other down recalled content, headless content that we want to pull back. So there's flexibility here. In this example, I'm just using Content Hub. These are both then going into this programmable at the top. And what this is doing is it's just taking all my inputs and it's just ordering by the most highly rated. So you might have seen there in the demo, they had stars next to them. It's just ordering by those kind of how highly rated something is at the top. I'm doing one more thing here. I'm pulling back the for that customer, what their lifetime value is, for example. So I'm pulling out this information here, and I'm using that to determine what kind of discount I want to give to that customer. So you can see here, for example, if they have a low customer value, it's 5%, medium 15, high it's 20. So I have a very simple kind of decision table here. And this is also just to show you they don't have to be so complicated. They can be very simple, these kind of tables. All this information then is basically been put into this output here, and that's kind of taking my inventory, going and getting the image for it, getting my discount, applying that to the price, and then returning all of that information. So I can obviously also test this to see what my result will be. So I'm going to test this for Jane and see what her output is. So I just typed in Jane's name there, by the way, and this request part here was automatically populated. So it was pulling in all her information that we have about her in Sitecore Personalize, and then it's running this decision model to see what the response is going to be. So here's the output of all those different nodes that I've just shown you in that decision table. So for example, here we can see the quiz answers that I've answered. So you can see these down here. I said the activity type was walking, the color was neon, and the style was casual, relaxed, what they've called it here. So all that's been captured. And then based on that, we can see the recommendations for me are that shoes from Columbia and anything from the brand Puma. Okay, so both of these things are coming back. We can also see then that based on that, these are all the different things that are coming back from product inventory for me. So once again, this is an external data system we're getting the information from. And this is coming back with the brand is Columbia, an ID, the shoe type, the name of it, and everything else coming back here is all coming. So we can have here as well. You can also see the number of them that are in stock, for example, the SKU, everything else. This is all coming back from kind of an external data system. So we have all of this. We can also see here that we are getting in the data back from Content Hub. So this is just another connection that we're going to pull back the relevant content. So here we're getting back all the relevant content that we need. And just to show you, this is that content sitting in Content Hub. So these are all the different images being pulled back here. So in this case, literally what's happening is I'm just saying for this type of product that's come back from inventory, go and get me the image for that particular product. But you can get much more sophisticated here what you're doing. You can have more data in Content Hub, or we could be, say, querying assets that are on a particular product line or on a particular collection, or have maybe another field here that's like style or color or something else. And we could be doing queries based on that. So the one I'm doing is very straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to now just make a change to this decision model to show you how that would work. So we're going to go in here to the quiz recommendations, and we're just going to add in one new rule. So my new rule is going to say that if the person likes the color neon, no matter what, in all cases, we're going to recommend Under Armour. Okay, so we're just going to add that as a new rule. So we're then going to save this rule, and we're just going to test to see if this works. And then we're going to push it into production. So we're going to have a look at this for Jane. Test this again. Okay, and let's just make sure she's getting that coming back from her quiz recommendations here. So here's her quiz recommendations, and we can see here there's 3 quiz recommendations now. She's still getting Columbia shoes, still getting Puma, but now she's also getting Under Armour. So that's perfect. Okay, so now if I go back out of this, back out of my decision model, you'll see here, this is the kind of page, just one before that page I was showing you of the decision canvas. This is showing me all the different models that I might have in archive, running in production, that I'm testing, or that I have in draft. This is the one I just updated. So let's imagine I've just updated a new draft version. I can first of all be putting that into test mode. And what that's going to do is that's going to run this model every time my model in production runs. And I can basically use that to tell me what different results are that are going into, say, what different products are being returned, or if there's any failures or anything like that. I can kind of investigate that for a week or something like that before I actually push my model live. So that's in silent test mode. When I'm happy with this, I might pull it into production. So I'm going to pull this into production. Once I do that, I can have multiple models running in production, okay? And I can just split my traffic between those models to also understand the impact on results over time. So say, for example, I'm measuring, I don't know, average order value or total revenue, or I could be measuring how many people are clicking on the different links that we have within that experience. I could be testing any of that. So I'm going to change here the traffic that's going to each of these models to basically push all my traffic into my new model just for the purpose of the demo. But you can imagine in real life, I might split this 50-50 or have a small proportion going to my new model. Okay, so now I've just updated the model that's running in production. So let's have a look back at the demo and just see what happens if I refresh this. Okay, so that's me again if I want to get updated quiz results. And we can see here I've updated results, and now I have my Under Armour shoes here coming up with my quiz recommendations in production. So we've just made a change there and very easily push it to production. Just as easily, I can say, actually, I don't like that model. I move it into archive, let's say, and I can just run it again. It's going to go back to my old version of how things were calculated. So that's how easy it is to kind of manage those decision models and understand what's going on. And just to highlight here, once again, these ratings are coming back from that inventory. The names come back from inventory based on the different product lines that we thought were interesting. The price here is being discounted based on information we know about me and, say, my customer lifetime value. The number of them that are in stock are obviously also coming back from that external system. My image here is coming back from Content Hub. Okay, so there's a lot of different things going on here. Okay, I wanted to show you one more version of a decision model that's just a little bit more complicated once again, just to show you also where you can go with this. So you can see here, this is another very similar decision model, right? We have here my personalized discount at the side. At the bottom, we still have my quiz answers. There's just a few changes here. So one of those could be, we could be pulling in information from an external AI or ML model. So in this case, say we're pulling in product propensities from Discover. Again, another Sitecore product, but doesn't have to be a Sitecore product. It can be any other place we're pulling information. It could be from a database. It could be coming from a completely different AI model or anywhere else we want to pull it in from. So here we have different propensities for each of those products that we're also pulling in to work out what we're going to show in that list. So that's another input we have here. And here what we're doing is we're taking each of these different recommendations, like a recommendation based on color, based on activity, based on style, based on my AI model, and then we might be weighting them against each other. And we could have here weights that are being input here. So here, for example, I have my different weights from 0 to 100 that I'm inputting, and I can just update these easily and change the outcome of my overall quiz recommendations that I'm showing here. And then at the top, the same thing is happening as before. My weighted recommendation is being put into my inventory. That's then going off to Content Hub, and I'm getting my final list. But I just wanted to show you how the complexity of these things can build out over time, depending on what you need. And it's very flexible in terms of what exactly you require. So that's kind of all about decision models and how they work and how exactly we built that quiz recommendations you saw there in Spin Shop. I also wanted to show you a bit about A/B testing. So I'm going to flick over to this experience here. So this here is a web experiment, okay, a web A/B test. And what this is doing is it's taking that piece of personalization, and it has 2 variants for how we're going to show the quiz recommendations. It's either just going to show the quiz recommendations, or it's going to show me that pop-up saying, do you want to see quiz recommendations? The one you saw me clicking multiple times. And here maybe what we're doing is we're pushing our traffic down each of those different variants to see which one performs better. And that's what we could be running for our A/B test. I do want to call out actually while we're discussing this, A/B testing within Sitecore Personalize is very flexible. So you could be A/B testing the entire quiz recommendations, personalization, the quiz itself, against nothing, against a control group of not running anything at all. And usually the reason people do that is they want to understand, okay, I've just spent a long time building out my decision model. What was the actual return of investment on that? You can do that using A/B testing like this. And that is how a lot of customers use it as well, is that they're literally working out, okay, is personalization worth it against not doing personalization? And that's the kind of thing you can be doing with A/B testing, not just, green button or blue button, but actually, no personalization at all against personalization. And it can be on any channel as well. Okay, so here's my 2 different variants. So I'm just going to show you how I can update these as well. So I'm just going to pause this. And we're going to edit, say here, the pop-up that I'm looking at when I'm running through this. And while this is pausing, I'll just show you some of the other parts we have down here. So we have here, for example, page targeting. This is just working out where on the page I actually want to do the personalization. So we're running this on things like the web. We have page targeting. And the audience, this is who is seeing this particular experience. Here it's people who have completed the quiz. My decisioning, this is where I'm plugging in that decision model I was showing you. And this is the one for quiz recommendations. And then we have down here the goals, okay? So this is, I'm running an A/B test. What am I actually measuring that against? What is the purpose behind what I'm trying to achieve with my A/B test and with my personalization in its entirety? So we might have, for example, here, the primary goal could be the number of people who are clicking on quiz recommendations. And we could have secondary goals here with things such as people who exited on the same page after they completed the quiz, people that converted, the number of conversions that we had per session, or the average order value. And I'll show you how here we add more goals. So here, for example, we have kind of revenue goals that are kind of out-of-the-box revenue goals, like the one you see conversions per session or average order value. We have different page view goals. For example, if we were trying to drive traffic to the page with all the shoes on it, we could be capturing this here, or an FAQ page or the home page or anything else. We then have bounce rate and exit rate. And we have custom goals. So these are any event that we're sending in. For example, completing the quiz could be a custom goal. So overall, maybe our goal is just how many people are actually completing the quiz. And we could put that in here as our custom goal as well. So that's here what we have at the top here for the call to action for people that are actually choosing to see their recommendations. And to go back up to the top here at my variants, we're just going to have a look here at my variant 2. And we'll see here, this is kind of the pop-up that you were seeing on the different pages. Again, these can be set up using templates. So we have a number of out-of-the-box templates for doing things like this, not like embedded kind of changing of the website, but kind of pop-ups or things that are resting on top of the page. And this is an example of one of them. I can easily change this by changing my kind of inputs to my template here at the side. So I can update this, for example. A key thing about this as well is you can also create any of the changes you make in web experiments or web experiences and create them as templates like this one here. So you can also customize this. It's not only the ones we have out of the box, but you can change here when, a developer from your team or someone else creates one of these new kind of web experiences, you can edit what all these inputs are going to be in the template here at the side and make them completely customizable for your business. So I'm say going to change my message here just to be more straightforward, get updated recommendations, and I can change here the icon that I'm showing as well. So I'll change it here, say to a success icon or something like that, and then I'll save this. I can also preview this on the homepage. So for example, I'm going to press here to preview it. So ask me if I want to preview it on Spin Shop, and I can also include a particular guest I want to preview it for. You can imagine here we're running personalization. So maybe this particular piece of personalization looks different for every single user. So I might want to see what it looks like for a couple of different example users and make sure they're getting the right kind of personalization shown to them, for example. So here I can see I'm on the web version of Spin Shop at the top here, and I can see my pop-up coming up here, get updated recommendations based on my changes. We also have at the side here what we call our QA tool. So this just tells me everything's running successfully, the guests that I'm running for, and I can also flip between my different variants that I have and reload the page and see it changing as well. So for example, this is a variant where we have no pop-up, so I can't see anything here. And here's the variant where we do have the pop-up. So we have this coming in here. So you can do some testing there with the QA tool. Okay, I want to also just show you some of the dashboards that we have here as well. So for example, we have this performance tab. This one here is showing me against my goals, the goals that I've set up that I was showing you a few minutes ago, how exactly the personalization group and the control group are performing, or if I have multiple different variants, how all of those variants are performing as well against each other. We also have here over time each of those goals and how things are going. If, for example, there's, I don't know, Black Friday or Valentine's Day or something like that, and there's been a change in purchasing behavior, we might want to have a look at that. One more thing, actually, I forgot to call out when I was mentioning about the split here. I can obviously change my split between my two different variants. So I can obviously change this to be, I don't know, much less going to my control group and much more going to my variant with the pop-up, no problem. But I can also optimize this A/B test using multi-arm bandit. And what that's doing is it's using a reinforcement machine learning algorithm to automatically push traffic into one of those variants based on its performance against that primary goal you saw me set up there at the bottom. So against the goal that I've set up here. So for example, if I go down here, against this primary goal, it's going to determine how it's going to push my traffic between those two different variants. This is very useful if maybe you're an organization, you don't have the time to wait 2 weeks to see the outcome of an A/B test, to be potentially losing revenue that you're getting on your second variant over the whole 2 weeks while the A/B test is running. Instead, what's going to happen is it's going to work out which one's performing better against that primary goal, and it's going to be automatically pushing more traffic into the variant that's performing better. I also have here my operational tabs. This is just showing me what's executing over time, how many different executions do I have at each of my different variants. If there's any failures, there's also logs and things like that. We have a couple more dashboards I just want to show you in this other experience. So for example, here we also have a goals dashboard. So this goals dashboard, what it's going to do is it's going to show me how my A/B test is performing, or my different variants are performing against attribution windows. This is very useful when we're running campaigns, say, that are outbound. So for example, like email, SMS, web push, things like that. So this same decision model, actually I meant to call that out earlier, can be used on any of those different channels. Okay, so the same way that we've used it on the mobile app, we might just be returning, here's your list of recommendations and here's the image to use with that one and here's the price for that one personalized. We can also be using that same thing to push out that information to an email service provider or an SMS service provider, and that can then be used to personalize those emails and maybe have those recommendations in an email, for example, as well, or if it's something else at an SMS too. What this then does is it allows me to say basically over different attribution windows, what's happening, how many people are, say, converting within these different periods of time. Is the average order value changing? Is the revenue changing? So I've sent out that email, and maybe the only piece of information I care about isn't just did someone open the email. It's actually, did someone then go on my site and purchase something 3 days later? And that's the kind of thing you can answer with a dashboard like this. There's also here an offers dashboard. This is showing me the distribution of outputs from my decision model. So I can see this here. There's a UTM dashboard. Again, if I'm running one of those campaigns on Facebook, like I was showing you earlier with the winter collections, and I have a UTM on that particular campaign, I can see how many people are coming back into my website using that particular campaign. I can see their sessions. And again, if they are purchasing something or converting or whatever else they're doing, I can understand all of that here. And we also have here a voice the customer dashboard. So if we're feeding in information about how customers are responding, how they're giving feedback, what rating are they given. We can also understand then their customer satisfaction score, their overall rating, their rating on different pages, negative responses they might have given in comments, things like that. So this is another example of a dashboard that we have. Okay, so that was kind of a demo of different things in Personalize. I wanted to spend some time now talking about XM and XP and explaining kind of how it fits into those things as well. So just to quickly, recap on what we kind of just covered there. First of all, on Sitecore decisioning, you've seen me run through a lot of different things there in that demo in terms of like the homepage banner changing, tailored navigation based on the menu, different product recommendations, the price changing. These are all the kind of things we can power with Sitecore decisioning. And usually what we're talking about with decisioning is it's the next best experience. It's not just the next best action, but it can also be, if we're in a call center, the next best communication we want to have with that customer. Maybe we want to inform them that we're giving them this discount when they go on the website, when they call up, I don't know, complaining about something or asking about where a delivery is. Or maybe what we want to do is we want to talk about the next best way we're going to have text written to them on the website. You saw here changing information I was seeing when I came back onto the app after not responding positively the first time that I saw that message, for example. So we can change all of that. It's optimized to handle large volumes of transactions and also complicated customer journeys. So one thing about those decision models are they're running in real time when they're required. So if there's a customer journey that's happening and it's based on inputs from multiple different places, for example, the web, and something happened on the mobile app, we can basically be using all that information in real time to run through a decision model like that and work out what experiences did we show that person previously, and what did they react positively to, what did they purchase, and all of that can basically be used to react to where are they in their customer journey and how we might want to respond to them. And obviously responsiveness in these things is critical as well. So I just wanted to recap on that. You've seen me go through decisioning. This is an example of it again, and it reiterating that it executes basically in real time. And you've seen there as well that kind of the bottom of it is showing the inputs that we have, and the top is showing our overall output from the bottom here. And there's a number of different kind of nodes that we can have here. Just to highlight on this slide, it's mentioned here CDP. Session data is available in Sitecore Personalize. So you see me do some examples there with session data. If you're using CDP and Personalize, you also have access to order data and guest data as well. So you'll have all of that data there too. Okay, and this is just the example that I went through with you. I just want to show you how all these different kind of pieces are connected together. So we had Jane here. She had her quick quiz recommendations shown to her. What's happening in the background is if it's running, if we're basically running it in a web app, it could be that we're using a web experience, or if we're running it in a mobile app and we want to do it server side, we could be calling here an omni-channel experience to pull back the recommendations for her. That's using a decision model. This one you see here, that decision model is calling off to the real-time engine to get back her quiz answers. It's calling off to Content Hub to get back the required content, and it's calling product inventory to pull back there what's in stock and what meets those recommendations. So all of that is happening when she's answering the quiz and sending in that information. Okay, so moving on to this section here about XM, XP, and XM Cloud. So to start off with, just to talk about just the baseline, talk about XM and XM Cloud. Obviously, this isn't a presentation on XM and XM Cloud, but just to talk about them. So to start off with, obviously, XM is on-prem or on managed cloud. XM Cloud is a SaaS product hosted on the cloud. The personalization, when we get into talking about the personalization available in XM and XM Cloud, in XM, it's component based. And as you can see here at the top with this screenshot here, you're creating the personalization using rules, using kind of conditions that you have here. So you can put in different conditions and base the personalization off of that. XM Cloud works much the same. So you can see here from the screenshots, it looks a little bit differently, but you also have here conditions, and you've out-of-the-box conditions to create that kind of personalization that you want to have here. So here's a screenshot of some of the conditions that you have, for example, based on point of sale or region or anything else. The personalization is also currently page-based, so you're doing a personalization on an entire page as well. When we talk about the data that you have access to do in XM versus XM Cloud, in XM we have kind of metadata like date, device, geolocation, campaign data, and we know if someone's basically anonymous or known. You can see here it's much the same. There's some differences in terms of what's available in terms of data, but there's overlap here in terms of the kind of things you have access to. A/B testing, then, just to mention, is also kind of on the roadmap for XM Cloud as well. So it's not currently there, but it's on the roadmap. Now what I want to do is dive into that when we look at it against XP. So with XP, obviously what you're getting is you can start creating all of those custom conditions that you want to use. And that's the advantage that you're getting with XP. You also have access now to session data and in-session data to your personalization, and you have component-based A/B testing. And again, it's hosted on-prem or managed cloud. Now, the real thing that I want to get onto is talking about these things and personalize, okay? This is when we talk about personalize. So let's say, first of all, we're talking about XM and Personalize. Obviously, now you're using Personalize. So Personalize is a SaaS product. So here we have now on-prem and managed cloud, and we have Personalize as a SaaS product. We still have component-based personalization and rules that we can do with out-of-the-box conditions with XM. But what we also have is what you've just seen me demonstrate there with Personalize. We're getting those decision models. We can have them on multiple different omni-channels. We can have external data systems where we're running, additional logic connected to AI. Any of that is possible using those external data systems. In terms of data, there's actually a good few things that are added in here when we start looking at the data that you can use to personalize. The first is about campaign data. One of the things that you can do with Personalize as well is you can start understanding not only external campaigns that are running, like UTMs coming into the platform, we can also understand what experiences are we running and how did the guests react to our experiences. So all of that data is obviously captured and personalized as well, and we can use that to do further personalization. An example of that, a simple example that you saw me do earlier was someone went on to look at all the different shoes that were available. They decided not to sign up. They went on again and they saw a different message asking them to sign up. That's personalized, reacting to a previous experience that you've seen and what you did afterwards. Okay, so that's one thing that we can do. With session data, you've seen it's very flexible. You can also have any kind of custom session event types or custom attributes within that session data as well. And then finally, you can connect to external data systems in your decision models. So you can be pulling in things like customer data, order data, inventory, product data, all of that available in real time via data systems. So you can kind of be connecting in all those external systems for that kind of data as well. So we're not talking about order data natively and personalized. We're talking about connecting to order data via a real time connection in a data system and a decision model. But you can set up all of those things to pull in that data and do personalization. When it comes to A/B testing, you've seen my example there of A/B testing, or you can do it on multiple different channels. You can also have kind of advanced traffic allocation and multi-arm bandit and all of that as well. Moving on then to XM Cloud and Personalize, just talk about some differences here. One of the differences is that all of the data that you're basically collecting, all of that kind of session data in XM Cloud is also available in Sitecore Personalize. The underlying data model or database where all that data is collected, including real-time data, is the same location. So all of that's available in Sitecore Personalize as it's available in XM Cloud. You can build custom conditions. So similar to the way that in XP you're building out custom conditions, you can now build out custom conditions as well in Personalize for XM Cloud. So you can build a condition and make it very complicated in Personalize using all that additional data that I highlighted, and then that will be available within XM Cloud when you're using it as well. So that's just to highlight some of the differences there. So I just wanted to pull this slide just to highlight as well some of the advantages that you're getting with Personalize and how it kind of works with each of these different products with XM Cloud, Experience Manager, and then against also XP too.